Hashem needed the gold and silver. He wanted us to be contributors to feel like we're giving. Yeah, you with me? Okay. So the Nesiim made a mistake because the Nesiim said, "Let's wait and see what's missing, right? And then we'll give what's missing." You got it all wrong. The Mishkan doesn't need you. You need the Mishkan. Understand? They said, "We'll wait and we'll see what the Mishkan needs at the end." Mishkan doesn't need anything. Hashem didn't need your gold and silver. Hashem asked you for gold and silver because Hashem wants you to be able to give. So they made this mistake. And that's why it says, Vayikhuli Truma. See, because the Torah requires Nedivas Alev, giving with a generous heart. The truth of the matter is, you can't give a Kadosh Baruch Hu anything. It all belongs to Hashem. The only thing you can give is your heart. That's up to you. Your heart, your bechira, how you feel, how you want to feel, that's up to you. So Hashem says, the gold and silver you're going to give, that is mine anyway. Kili ha-kesef azav. I own all the kesef and all the zav. What you can give, and the only thing you can give, is your nidivas alev, how you feel about it. And that's what I want you to give. And that's why it says, vayikhuli truma, not vayitnuli. If it says vayitnu, that will be a command. You must give. So it says, take from me, which means, if it said vayitnu, the emphasis would be a commandment on giving. And Hashem says, I don't want to command you to give, I want you to want to give. So therefore it says, take from me truma, meaning the emphasis is not on the giving, but on taking it for me. You follow? So it's not a commandment to give. Okay, that's one thing, the lesson of appreciating what stuck is all about. It's really an opportunity for us to give, more than the recipient to receive. It's an opportunity for us to give. Okay? The second thing is another reason why it says, nidvas libo. Why the Torah says, I want everyone to give with a generous heart. Well, what does that mean? The truth is, there's a big problem. The problem is, Hashem says, I want you to build a physical structure, and then my Shekhinah will come inside the physical structure. How can a physical box contain the presence of Hashem? The box is finite. Hashem's presence is infinite. How's it going to work? It doesn't make sense. The truth is, you can ask that question about your guf and neshama too. You have a guf, it's like a box. And if Hashem is infinite, it's from Hashem. How does Hashem fit into a guf? So it's a big problem that the Mekubalim have. So they have an idea like this. Something called an emtsoi. An emtsoi means an intermediary. Meaning it's true, the neshama and the guf can't connect directly. There has to be something that's a little bit guf and a little bit neshama, and that becomes the intermediary that is able to connect the guf and the neshama. You follow? And what is that? A nefesh. We have something called nefesh, and we also have a neshama. The nefesh is much more associated with the physical. It's physical drives, a person desires. An animal also has a nefesh. So the nefesh is not literally physical, right? Because you can't put it under a microscope, but it's not totally spiritual. It's associated with physical drives. So the nefesh becomes the connector, the emtsoi between the guf and the neshama. So now you're building a mishkan. That's a physical structure. And now you want to put Hashem's Shekhinah inside. What's the emtsoi? When you give benidvas liba, when you give with your heart, you're transforming the gold and the silver into something spiritual. In other words, you're putting, when you give the lave, when you give with your heart, you're literally transforming this gold brick to have something more spiritual inside, because you're putting your heart inside. So now this physical brick has a semi-spiritual quality to it. And that becomes the emtsai, the intermediary that links Hashem's Shekhinah with the physical property of the Mishkan. So the nidvas leiv becomes that emtsai. It becomes that piece in the middle that's required to connect guf and neshama, or in this case, Shekhinah and Mishkan. Okay, that's one idea. Let's talk about another piece of the Mishkan. So in the Mishkan, you had different kelim. There's a menorah, there's a shulchan, there's a mizbeach, there's an aron kodesh, and each one represents a different idea. In fact, the ideas of the Mishkan, there was a machlokes between Betzalel and Moshe. Should you build a Mishkan first and then build the kelim and put them aside, or build the kelim first and then build the Mishkan? And Betzalel said to Moshe, it doesn't make any sense. First you buy a house and then you buy the furniture. You don't buy the furniture and then build a house around it. It makes no sense. But what Moshe was saying was, it's true that normally build a house and put the furniture in. But you have to understand that the kelim of the Mishkan, they don't just belong in the Mishkan. The kelim represent ideas.
What kelim?
A menorah, shulchan, These are all called Kalim, right? So Moshe Rabbeinu's point was, it's true the Kalim fit into a Mishkan, but the Kalim also exist independent of the Mishkan, because each one of these instruments represents an idea that even without the Mishkan, the idea is important. So therefore, Moshe, we can build the Kalim or the menorah without a Mishkan, because the idea of a menorah exists even without a Mishkan too. So let's talk about some of the ideas. All right? Okay. So let's talk about the Aron Kodesh. See, Aron Kodesh was, as a child, I don't know if you had these, when you grow up, but they have like these little games. You have a box, and a box that goes inside a box, and a box goes inside that box, and it keeps getting smaller and smaller, right? So the Aron Kodesh was that way. It was a gold box, and then it had a wooden box inside the gold box, and then it had another gold box inside that. Okay. Now, Chazal tell us that the idea, the lesson was that a Talmid Chacham has to be Tocho Kibaro. Talmid Chacham has to be somebody whose inside is like the outside. So if the outside is gold, the inside has to be gold also. Tocho Kibaro. So first of all, do I need the lesson of Aron Kodesh? Tell me that. Basically saying, don't be a hypocrite. Right? It's saying, be on the inside like the outside. Why is this lesson from the Aron Kodesh? And besides, I don't know if it's even a lesson that needs to be learned from the Mishkan Bechlal. And number two, not only is that a problem, why did the Mishkan tell me that talking about it? But there's another problem, which is that even if there's a lesson of Tokabaro, why does it say every Talmid Chacham should be Tokabaro? Why is it exclusive to a Talmid Chacham? Everybody should be not a hypocrite, not just a Talmid Chacham. Right, why does it say every Talmid Chacham? Because the Aron Kodesh represents the Talmud Torah. So every Talmid Chacham should be Tocho Kabaro. His inside Tocho, his inside Kibaro. Baro means outside. Tocho Kibaro. But why is that exclusive to a Talmid Chacham? Anybody should be that way. There's a famous Gemara. Gemara says in Brachas, I think it's Chavches, I think that Rabbi Gamliel had an academy, yeshiva, and he had a very, very, very strict standard. In fact, it was so strict that when they removed Rabbi Gamliel from being head of the Siyum, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah took over, and he had an open door policy. And this is the first day they added 400 more benches to the base medrash. 400 more benches. Some say 700 base medrash. Huge. But Rabbi Gamliel had a very, very, very strict, tight admission policy. Okay, we know every college has admission policies. What was the admission policy? It wasn't IQ. It wasn't an SAT test that you take beforehand. It wasn't scores and grades. He had one admission policy.
Bodyguards.
What?
Bodyguards?
I'm kidding you.
Guards?
No. Tocho Kabaro. You had to be a person that was Tocho Kabaro. That your inside was like the outside. If you were Tocho Kabaro, you got in. You weren't Tocho Kabaro, you didn't get in. And it seems to be very limited because they had so many less people there. Right? So what you're right, the Gemara says, what do? He put a shomer at the door, he put a guard at the door, and the guard didn't let anybody in unless he was Tocho Kabaro.
How do you know who Tocho Kabaro?
Oh, that's the $1 million question. That's the $1 million question. What, he reads their minds as the Tocho Kabaro?
Yeah, I don't know.
So the Ger Rebbe has a beautiful pshat. Ger Rebbe said like this. The shomer was put at the front door and he didn't let anybody in. That's it. Closed. No more. So some people said, oh, it's closed. What can I do? I can't get in. The people who really were talking about it, they found a way in. They climbed over the window, under the window, they convinced the guard, they put right. In other words, he said nobody's in. But the people that really, really wanted it, they found a way to get in. So those people that got in, despite all the barriers, they would talk about it. They would talk about it. That's a beautiful idea. That talk about, you want to know if you're really on the inside like the outside? It's easy to talk, as they say. But if you really mean it, then you're going to push because you really, really want it. So that's what he made it difficult for everybody to get in. But the ones that really wanted it, they found a way in. And those are the ones you wanted. Understand?
Out of 400, like 100 pushed. Out of 400 people?
They didn't make it. Yeah, 400 benches. It doesn't say people, 400 benches. So many people on a bench. I don't know how many people on a bench. Okay, so that's the lesson of Tocho Kabaro. And that's why it probably says, Kol Talmid Chacham She'eno. Use the word Talmid Chacham specifically, because it's talking about this limud of Torah specifically. If you're not Tocho Kabaro, you'll never be a Talmid Chacham. You have to really want it badly enough. That's why it emphasizes specifically the Talmid Chacham if he's not Tocho Kabaro, because there's a lesson specific to a Talmid Chacham. You want to be Talmid Chacham, you gotta really want it badly enough. There's a flip side to this story. And that is, I don't know, I think it happened in the 30s, 1930s. There was a Rav that came from Europe. And he came to America to fundraise, whatever, the yeshiva. And he stayed by somebody's house. And he slept over. The next morning, the fellow offered him toast. He took bread, he put it in the oven, and he, baked it. And he said, would you like some toast? So the Rav said, what's toast? He said, no, you take bread, you put it in the oven, it gets hard on the outside, it gets hard on the inside. So the Rav said, oh, you mean it's toho kabaro. The inside gets hard like the outside. So the fellow laughed, he goes, yeah. And then he goes, wouldn't it be wonderful, he said, if all Jews were toho kabaro? That's what this fellow said. So the Rav said, you're making a mistake. You're wrong. So wouldn't it be wonderful if all Jews were baro ketocho? Wouldn't it be wonderful if all Jews on the outside would act like how they really are on the inside? All Jews really on the inside have a real neshama. It would be wonderful if they learned how to express what they were on the outside, that their baro could be ketocho. The opposite. All Jews on the inside are special, but they got to express on the outside too. They have to be tocho baro, but they also have to be baro ketocho. So both lessons are true. Okay, that's one lesson in the Aron Kodesh, or tocho baro. Now, it's, by the way, it's very interesting. How do you remain humble if you think you're gold on the inside and gold on the outside of the Aron Kodesh, right? How do you remain humble? I'm gold on the outside, I'm gold on the inside, right? In fact, they say the reason why you had that wood barrier in between was to humility. No, it's not anywhere near as fancy schmancy. So, but how do you remain humble? It's just the opposite. If you know that Hashem created gold on the inside, and you don't act that way, you know how humbling that is? You mean Hashem gave you all these kochos, and you're abusing them? That's a humbling thing. You really have it on the inside. You can't brag about it, and if you don't do it, it's even worse. But I'll share with you one more thing about the Aron Kodesh. The Aron Kodesh, the measurements of the Aron Kodesh were 1.5 cubits, 1.5 amas, by 2.5 amas, by 1.5 amas. So the question is, why did Hashem make all the amas half amas? Go to Home Depot, I want 2 feet, by 3 feet, by 2 feet. Why you make the guy cut the extra, right? You go to Home Depot, guy, he said, listen, cut it in half.
Was that the external or internal dimension?
External.
External. I mean, even though we put the shitim, then you put internal.
Yeah, but I think it was the outer one. I think it was the outer one, yeah.
So what were the units? The measurement of units? What were
Amma.
It's about 1.5 feet.
1.5 okay.
18 inches roughly. Roughly 18 inches. Some say 24, 2 feet, between machlokes, 18 to 24 inches. So why did Hashem say, I want 1.5 by 2.5 by 1.5? Why do you make the half amas for? I make it simple.
Because you're not complete.
Very good, getting close. But there's a problem with that. The Shulchan, then the amos were 2 by amas by 1 am. They were complete. So if it's about being complete,
No, I'm talking to a human being. They're like, they're not complete. They're like
so
half-
why is the Shulchan complete then?
That's holy.
Aaron's also holy. The reason is the Aaron represents Torah and wisdom. Hashem is teaching you that when it comes to Torah, a person has to always feel, I'm only halfway there. There's always more to learn, always more to study. In fact, it's interesting. You call a chacham, we call a Talmud chacham, right? But nobody says Torah chacham. You should call him a Torah chacham. Why a Talmud chacham? Because a Talmud chacham is somebody who knows I'm always a Talmud. I'm always a student.
You're still learning.
I'm still learning. So therefore, the midos, the measurements of the Aron, were half measurements to remind us that a person has to always feel, I'm not fully there yet. There's always more wisdom to be gained. But let's go to the Shulchan then. So Shulchan, why were they malay? Why were they complete measurements? Because it's just the opposite. The Shulchan represents where the challah was. That represents prosperity and your physical sustenance. They're just the opposite. You have to feel complete. You're supposed to feel complete. Adarabah. You don't feel like, I wish I could have more. I wish I have more. When it comes to the physical world, you feel, I have whatever I need. So the measurements were full. So by the Aron Kodesh, they were chatzi, to tell you that in wisdom, you're always missing. But physical things, then you have to feel, I have what I need. That would be a very nice drasha, except I didn't tell you the full truth. The Shulchan was 2 by 1, I think by 1.5. One of the midot was a half measurement. Now, according to my spiel, it's not true. It should be all malay. If the lesson is feel satisfied. So I want to share with you an interesting idea. The lesson is to be full. But how do you get to be full? By half. What's that mean? There was, I believe it's called a Tainus Harayvit, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was the Rayvit. I think so. He was a Rishon that he had an instant kind of fast. He didn't fast the whole day. I mean, he fasted Tish B'Av, Yom Kippur, as on other days. When he had a meal, he left a little bit over on his plate. A little bit over. And that was his fast. What does that mean? When you have food on a plate and eat everything on the plate, you didn't stop because you were full. You stopped because nothing left on the plate. Right? If somebody put more on the plate, you need more. Right? So eating, you didn't train yourself to be full. You just taught yourself that I stop eating when there's nothing left to eat. But if you eat food on a plate and you leave something over, you're training yourself that I don't have to eat everything to be full. And the truth of it is, every diet should be that way. Anytime you're on a diet, you have to realize, you have to learn how to get by with, you have to feel satisfied with less. Ultimately, you have to do that. You can't eat the same thing you always ate and lose weight. It doesn't work, right? So you have to really train yourself to want a little bit less. How do you do that? By leaving a little bit over. I don't have to eat everything on the plate to feel full. So the way you become satisfied with what you have is by not fulfilling every single desire that you have. Not just food. If you want to be satisfied with everything, you can't just say, okay, you have to stop somewhere and say, you know what, I'm not getting this. I don't need it so much. If everything you feel you want, everything you want, you take for yourself, then you're never satisfied because you always have more wants. But if you train yourself that I don't have to take everything I want, I don't have to buy everything I want. That's not so important. Then the other day, my wife called me up yesterday. She's going to Costco. Going to Costco. She said, you know, they have a big sale on luggage. I said, do we need it? She goes, not really, but it's a good sale, and eventually we'll probably use it. I said, listen, the money, it wasn't a whole lot of money, but I said, if you don't really need it, so what are you training yourself? That every time you see something you have to have, you buy it? No, you don't have to buy it. So the idea is that, again, that if you train yourself that everything you want you buy, you'll never satisfy because you always have more wants. You never stop wanting. Never stop wanting. So you have to train yourself that I don't take everything I want. So that's why the Shulchan, yes, two of the measurements will hold to teach you that when it comes to physical, you have to feel satisfied. But how do you get to feel satisfied? Well, they have a measurement. But remembering the lesson of half. Don't always have to fill yourself up totally. Right? Whether it's physical food or anything else. But if you just train yourself, whatever you want, you take, you're never satisfied. But if you learn the lesson of half, that's how you become full. The lesson of half teaches you the lesson how to be whole. You got that? Yeah.
What is the difference between the Mishkan and Aron Kodesh?
No. Mishkan is like the whole building.
Uh-huh.
The Aron Kodesh was the Aron, where they put the luchos inside. Okay? Mishkan is like, the Mishkan was a temporary housing of the Kalim, the Mizbeach, and the Aron. Mm-hmm. The Beis HaMikdash was permanent. Now it's interesting, the Mishkan never became permanent, right? You travel. The Beis HaMikdash remained permanent. Why?
The one that they carry on their shoulder?
Right, that's the Mishkan.
That's the Mishkan.
Yes.
And everything put inside.
What?
The Shulchan is inside.
Yes. But the Beis HaMikdash, that was a permanent structure. Why? We know where Har Moriah is to this very day. But the Mishkan, wherever it stood, it stood. And once they left there, we don't know where it is anymore. We don't know where the Mishkan stood. We don't even care. Why the Beis HaMikdash? The place is important, and it's permanent, and the Mishkan not. Because the Akedah took place where the Beis HaMikdash is. And
but in Torah, I thought Masei, they tell you how many places.
42.
42. So those are the locations where they stopped. They put the Mishkan.
Did they stop at each? Did they put the Mishkan at every stop? I'm not so sure they did. Maybe makes sense.
Anyway,
maybe could be. All right. So the question like this. So it doesn't just mean because the Har Moriah was where they had the Akedah, so it was a famous place. It doesn't mean that. At the Akedah was Mesiras Nefesh. Avram was willing to give everything up for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even his own son. When a person has Mesiras Nefesh, then you guarantee permanence. When Jews have Mesiras Nefesh, then everything has Nitzchias, has permanence, eternity. So the Har Moriah, that's where Mesiras Nefesh took place. That's where it took place, and because that's where it took place, that's why it remains permanent. The Mishkan doesn't have that story. Therefore, the place where it stayed doesn't have permanence, and we don't know where it is. All right. Let's talk a little about the Aro. Okay, we talked about the Aro. We said it's Tocha Kabaro. We said it's half measurements. On top of the Aron, you had Keruvim. Keruvim were these cherubs, these angel-like figures, right? They face each other, and it was a male and female figure, at least a male and female face. And the Chazal, the Torah says actually that the voice of Hashem came from between the two Keruvim, but Moshe Rabbeinu heard it from the Ohel, from the outside of the Ohel. That's where he heard it. So why do I need to know that the voice originally came from two Keruvim if Moshe Rabbeinu didn't hear from there? He heard it from the Ohel. What it means on a much deeper level is, as I just talked about earlier, that the Mishkan was an opportunity to become a giver. The truth of the matter is, Ish ve'isha is all about giving. Each one's giving to the other. And it's in that give and take.
Unity.
And it was in that give and take of Ish ve'isha, that's where the kol of Torah comes from. So it doesn't just mean physically bein hakruvim. It means bein also doesn't just mean between. It also means it's the outcome of the totzah. So bein hakruvim means the outcome of the kruvim is Torah. The outcome, the Shekhinah of Hashem, the Yud Kei of Hashem, of Ish v'Isha, right? We know Ish v'Isha, right? The Yud of Ish and the Hey of Isha spells Hashem's name. Because when the Ish v'Isha are one and act with Torah, the Shekhinah is true over there. So that's what it means, Bein Shnei HaKruvim. Hashem comes from the Ish v'Isha, from in between, means not physically, that too, but it also means from the give and take of the two Kruvim. That's where the sound of the Torah comes from. Because of the give and take of Ish v'Isha. The Krushim, the pillars, where did they come from? So Chazal tell us that Yaakov, when he went down to Mitzrayim, he brought with him Atzei Shittim. And those Atzei Shittim is what he planted in Mitzrayim. And that's what they took for them. Now it's interesting. And where did he get that Shittim from? So Medrash says Avram planted them originally by his Eshel, and Yaakov took them from Avraham. He took them to Mitzrayim, and when the Jews left Egypt, they took it with them. Now you think that's an incredible thing. First of all, Yaakov, he's going down to Mitzrayim. He hasn't seen his son in 22 years, right? And you think he want to go any first possible minute? No, I first got to schlep these Atzei Shittim, right? Then he plants them in Mitzrayim. And the Jews now want to get out of Egypt. No, we can't go. We got to schlep these Atzei Shittim with us. You have to realize the Jews didn't even want to stay a second longer to take the gold and silver. Moshe had to convince them to take the gold and silver. They wanted it out as quick as possible. And yet they took the time to take that Shittim because they realized that it represents Mesiras Nefesh. Just like Yaakov brought it down to Mitzrayim with Mesiras Nefesh because he said, I want the Jews to have this with them. So they also appreciated Mesiras Nefesh.
What is that word, Mesirat Nefesh?
Yeah, it means total dedication.
How do you spell it, man?
Mesirat Nefesh.
Means what?
Mesirat Nefesh. Giving your life. But it means it says total dedication. Total dedication. So, just like Yaakov had total dedication, they had total dedication. And the Mishkan stands on that dedication as well. So even though it wasn't the same as the Akedah, but it still had that power of Mesiras Nefesh behind it as well. When Moshe Rabbeinu asked for the
wood,
the donations, so you don't see anywhere that Moshe Rabbeinu gave himself. Doesn't say that. You don't find anywhere Moshe Rabbeinu gave. So I saw somebody fascinating, the brother of the Vilna Gaon. It's like a wild shot. So he says the Torah required that every Jew give nidvas liba, from their heart to the Mishkan. But Moshe Rabbeinu had no heart left. He was so given over to Hashem, there was nothing from himself to give anymore. Every person gave of himself. They gave the diva slave. They gave of themselves to the Mishkan. But Moshe Rabbeinu was kol kulai and Eved Neman. There was nothing for him to give. He gave it all. He already gave it all to Hashem. It's an incredible concept. But certainly we understand, we appreciate that the Mishkan, it's not a magic trick. You have a box and Hashem speaks. It's because we put all our kochos in. That makes a Mishkan. I want to mention one more thing about a Mishkan. Then we'll stop here. And that is, how do you understand I think I once told you this story actually. How do you understand how a Mishkan, how does it work that you make a Mishkan and somehow the Shekhinah appears? How does that work? I think I told you the story. There was a young man was traveling through Europe, ends up in Eretz Yisrael. He's a Jewish fellow. He's taken by Eretz Yisrael. It's beautiful. He decides he's got to learn Kabbalah. Kabbalah, he doesn't even know olive base, but I want to learn Kabbalah. So he asks around. Now today, you have Kabbalah for dummies all over the place, right? And everyone's making money on Kabbalah now. Berg is making money. They're all making money. It's a terrible thing. But the bottom line is that he asked around, and they said, you don't know olive base. How do you learn Kabbalah? And he kept asking and asking. Father, someone said, you know what? I tell you what. In Meir Sharim, far tucked away in one of his old shuls, I know that every Thursday night, 6 or 7 very holy Jews get together. They study Kabbalah. Why don't you go there? I said, great. He's so excited, very naive, and he goes to this place, and he opens the door, goes inside, takes one step inside, and he realizes maybe this is a mistake. He sees they're looking very holy, their face look holy, and he's wearing his dungarees and his ripped t-shirt, but he already has halfway committed, so he's a little stuck, frozen. Finally, one of the people sized him up and figured that he was a little nervous. He said, come inside. So he said, okay, I'll come inside. So they're all sitting around the table, and the leader says to him, here, gives him an apple. Oh, so thank you very much. And he reached for the apple, and the leader pulls away the apple. Okay, hand up. A few minutes later, he sticks at it again with the apple, and he reaches for the apple again. Again, he pulls it away. Okay, maybe there's a blessing supposed to make. I don't know the blessing. I don't know. He does it one more time. And the third time, I'm not so stupid anymore. He's not going for the apple anymore. The guy goes. Finally, one other guy there motions to him like this. So he goes, oh, like this. And the fellow drops the apple in his hands. He got it. What did he get? What does the word Kabbalah mean? Kabbalah means to receive. He was telling him, you want to learn Kabbalah? You want to grab Kabbalah? You can't grab Kabbalah. You can't grab holiness. You have to make yourself a keli to receive holiness. You have to make yourself a kli to receive. Understand? The Mishkan is, Bnei Yisrael is saying, Hashem, we're making the space to let you in. We're making the space to let you in. It's not that we're grabbing the Shekhinah, but we're making the space to receive you, Hashem. On Shabbat, we do the same thing. We make the time to receive Hashem. It's the same idea. You can't grab Kedusha Shabbos. What you do is you make the time. All the things that you can't do on Shabbos. I can't drive, I can't cook. That's not what Shabbos is all about. That's a mistake. But what you can't do creates the boundaries, so now you have the space to receive Hashem. You follow? What you can't do on Shabbos, that's not the ikar of Shabbos, that's the main thing of Shabbos. What you can't do simply sets the boundaries that allow Shabbos to flow into that space or time that you're creating. So every Shabbat, you say, that's it, I'm stopping working every Shabbat, that's it, I'm done. I'm creating the time to let Shabbos and Hashem flow into my life. I can't grab it, I have to make myself into a kli. That's what the Mishkan was all about. The Mishkan was also Bnei Yisrael making themselves into a keli. And say, I recognize Hashem, we have to be receivers. And I'm taking the time, I'm making the space to make myself worthy of the flow of HaKadosh Baruch Hu inside of me. You follow? And that's really the lesson of the Mishkan. We have to make the time, we have to make the space, we have to make the place. And then Hashem flows in, yeah.
When it comes to building the Mishkan, with all the Jews, like the Kohen, the Levi, Israel, give the same, or they were like everybody give it whatever you
different
can?
amount. Yidveno libo. Everyone gave whatever their heart desired.
Whatever you can.
It was right. The only thing that was the same, that's a good question, we'll get to later on, with the Adonim, the Machzas shekel, the half a shekel coin that each Jew gave the exact same amount, copper coin, half a coin, that was used for the Adonim, for the sockets that they put the pillars in. Now, that's a different conversation, right? That's the next time we'll talk about that. The Adonim, everyone gave a uniform amount, but other than that, everything else was precisely the
Give
same.
whatever you can. Somebody's poor, somebody's rich, whatever.
Right. And the idea behind the Machzas shekels, if each Jew gives a half, we say that none of us are complete by ourselves. We need all the Jews to make ourselves complete. The idea behind giving a Machzas shekel is we're saying that each Jew by himself is only half. To be complete as a nation, we need each other. That's the idea behind the Machzas shekel. Each one gave the same amount. I'll tell you why. Another reason why they gave the same amount. the Adonim were the sockets that held the pillars. So they're considered like the foundation.
Base.
What?
The base or foundation.
Right, the basement. So they're the foundation of the Mishkan. What's the foundation? Emunah. The Adonim represent Emunah, faith. It's interesting, I think I said this, by Matan Torah, when Hashem gave us the Torah, it says everybody got the Torah according to their neshama. Everyone has a different way of understanding Torah, different kind of wisdom, and every neshama heard the Torah on their level. But by Kriyas Yamsuf, by the splitting of the sea, it says, Rosh Shivcha Shabayam, Mashalor Ches Mambuzi. That even a maidservant saw the exact same level of Hashem's revelation like everybody else. Equal. How come by the sea everyone was equal in what they saw? And by Matan Torah it was not equal. Because by the sea they learned Emunah. Every Jew has equal access to Hashem. Comes to Emunah, it comes to having connection to Hashem, every Jew can have an equal action, an equal connection to Kadosh Baruch Hu. So therefore, even the Shivcha Shabbayam saw what anybody else can see. Matan Torah was talking about specifically about Torah. Each Jew has their specialty in Torah. But again, if the Adonim represent the Emunah, because that's the foundation, right? Then it makes sense that each Jew gave the exact same amount. Because each Jew has exactly the same connection, or can have the exact same connection in Emunah to Hashem. Every Jew has the possibility to be the exact same Baal Emunah as anybody else. Each one of us can have the exact same connection to Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's equal. I guess I'll mention one last thing about the Mishkan.
Rabbi, Adonim, silver
They were copper,
Copper, midat din. Why the foundation is din is not chesed?
That's a good question. I don't know. That's a good question. Why? Yeah, you're right. The copper represents din, and the silver represents chesed, which is white. I have to think about that.
Gold, you mean? Gold is.
I think kesef is white.
Kesef. I know, but I mean, like, it's midat din, and
I think
gold
copper. I think copper is red, and red is din. I think so.
Right.
I'll look it up. I for sure I have to see how it works over here. I don't remember. There's something said about that. I want to mention one more thing. According to many Mefarshim, the Mishkan represents a human being. Like the Kachay Kachim represents the Neshama of a person. The Aron Kodesh represents the brain of a person. I think the Aron, the Menorah represents the eyes of a person, and the five senses of the Reach represent the Shulchan represents the five senses. I forget, but you go through the Mishkan, and it represents a human being. If you think about it, it's an incredible thing. When we think of the Mishkan, we think how incredibly holy the Mishkan is. If the Mishkan is just supposed to be a duplicate of Adam, imagine how holy Adam is, right? We think of the Mishkan, oh, it's so holy. 1 second, the Mishkan is just copying what Adam is, right? The Mishkan is just a copy of what Adam is, what man is. So if the Mishkan is holy, imagine how much more so Adam should be. Rabbi Rucham once said, we know how holy Hashem is because we daven 3 times a day to Hashem. So we daven, we think about it. He said, if we daven 3 times a day to a person, we realize how special a person also. Now it's like, we sometimes we don't recognize the greatness inherent in every single person because we don't spend time thinking about it. We spend time thinking about how great Hashem is. We daven to Hashem 3 times a day, how great He is. We don't spend time thinking about how great a person is. But if we spend time thinking what a person is, do you know when Malachim saw Adam Rishon for the first time, they started davening to him. They thought he was Hashem. We say in Kabbalah Shabbos, right? Right? That was the Malachim saying that, and they wanted to bow down to Adam. So the human being is, if the Mishkan's copying the human being, and the Mishkan is holy, imagine what a person is supposed to be. And if a person would think of what a person is, they would treat them with much more respect. They'd be much more careful not to say anything that's sensitive. They'd be careful not to do any damage, etc., etc. If we'd spend time, but we don't spend time thinking about it. We spend time thinking about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We don't spend enough time thinking about what a person is. We spend more time thinking about what a person is, be more careful to give them the prospect and be in awe of every single person. Every single person. We should be in awe of. The creator B'Tselem Elokim, and we have to be in awe of that. And we just lose sight. So when you study the Mishkan, and you read the Parsha, and you say, wow, it's amazing, and the Kedusha and everything else. Whatever it is, the Adam is 10 times more. Because the Mishkan is just copying Adam. That's the lesson we have to learn as well. All right, we'll stop here.
I'm sorry, can you dedicate it to Refuah Shelema,
Fush Lema.
Ariel ben Amene,
Ariel ben Amara,
Amene,
Amina,
Halevi.
Halevi. Shabbat for Shlema.
Amen.
וגם
And also-
לעילוי נשמת
לעילוי נשמת
יצחק כהן בן נתנאל ואברהם כהן בן
Yitzchak
נתנאל.
Cohen ben Natal
אברהם כהן בן
and
נתנאל.
Abraham Cohen.
Rabbi, when they were doing the prayer in the Beit HaMikdash, were they in